We are about to start. If we all can have our seats, we are about to start our panel. Thank you very much. Can we have our seats, please? Okay. So welcome everybody, and thank you very much for being here and listening to our panel right at the end of the day. We will be discussing very important topic on how to understand and adopt the climate change from the perspective of MÜSİAD members. So I would like to very shortly inform you about the MÜSİAD, our independent industrialist and businessman association. We are member of 60,000 companies under one roof that has activities in 25 different sectors in 84 different locations around the world. The companies under our roof employs around 2 million people and has a direct effect on Turkish export, which is around 21% of the Turkish export, which contributes to $50 billion in our economy. So our main mission of the organization is to act and contribute to, as a businessman association, to the material and moral development of our country with this unity and solidarity spirit ensured within itself. So I am not going to take long. We have very valuable speakers, which I would like to invite them to their seats before we have our keynote speakers. So Mr. Altuğ, Mr. Serhat, Mr. Sezai, if we can have you in your seats. And then we have a very valuable keynote speaker here with us, Ms. Lisa Guarria, who's the Director, Monitoring Modeling Division of OMEC. If I can invite you over for your speech, and then we will go to our panel. Thank you very much.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for having me here. I want to thank especially Hüseyin for this invitation. It's quite timely as we have just released our latest scenarios. So this is what I will be presenting. I think it's important to have the picture not just of Turkey, but of the Mediterranean. I will give you some flavors of Turkey. But first, let me present what we are. Oops. So just to explain, I'm from the OMEC. It's the Organization for Mediterranean Energy and Climate. We cover 26 countries in the Mediterranean, which you can see listed here. We do a lot of different things, but one of our core activities is to provide scenarios to 2050. So we look at each country's individually, which means that, for instance, for Turkey, we have a Turkish model where we look at past, present, and we do projections. We have an in-house econometric model, which means we are master of everything we do. 2 scenarios, a reference scenario, and beware, a reference scenario does not mean a business as usual. A reference scenario already incorporates some efforts, notably the NDC's unconditional. The second scenario that we have done in cooperation, co-funded by the European Commission, is to reach the net zero carbon emission target by 2050 for all the countries of the Mediterranean. So here I will be presenting the main results. Now, just to set the picture of the Mediterranean, at present we are 565 million people in the Mediterranean region. 15% are located in Turkey only. So Turkey is 15% of the Mediterranean population, and it is 16% of the energy demand. As you can see, it's 43,000 petajoules, which is 1,000 MTOE. The global value, economic value of the region is 12 trillion. Turkey is also around 15%, 16% of that. And in terms of CO2 emissions, obviously, the north countries of the Mediterranean for the moment have lower emissions per capita than in the south. We have, higher emissions per capita in the south, but produce less emissions altogether. Turkey stands around 19% of total Mediterranean emissions. The important thing to look at is more the trends. What's going to happen in the next 30 years? And this is really staggering, is all the increase in population is going to be happening in the South Mediterranean, especially in Turkey and Egypt, but all over the region, which means that in the north it's actually decreasing. So everything that's coming is in the South Mediterranean. It's also the case for the GDP. Obviously, the economic growth is going to happen both sides. But as you can see, the increase in that red chart is double in the south than in the north, which means that the GDP per capita is increasing in the south. But beware, by 2050, GDP per capita in the south will still be lower than current GDP per capita in the North Mediterranean. So this is something to keep in mind when we talk about developing demand. It is only fair and just that the energy services increase in the south. What we want to make sure is that it happens in an efficient manner. So this is something that's really important to keep in mind. It is normal that the South Mediterranean continues to develop, and it is normal that the north also starts reducing because they are also reducing their population. So in terms of global trends, global Mediterranean trends for the region altogether, if we're keeping on the reference scenario, what we see is that we would be better off than in the past, because instead of increasing demand by 43%, 30% is just unsustainable, and we'll be showing later, but definitely not a desirable outcome. If we go for the net zero, that means we have to reduce our demand by 20% from current levels. But this is actually hiding two realities. Again, as I said, there's two different pictures, economic and socioeconomic. In the North Mediterranean, the population is decreasing, the demand is constricting. They have put in place much more stringent targets with the European Union. And so we're already seeing some effects on energy demand. So in both scenarios, demand would be decreasing. Now, if we continue the way we are, in the South Mediterranean, it is doubling the energy demand that we're looking at, even including NDCs, the unconditional NDCs. So that means that even with some efforts, we are still not on a sustainable path in the South Mediterranean. We need to still increase demand, but only by 6%. So the magnitude of the energy efficiency that needs to be made is horrendous. And not just the energy efficiency. When you look at the detail by fuels, you can see that we need to change the structure of our energy mix. So from a fossil fuel base, so today, 75%, so 3/4 of the energy mix is fossil fuel based in the Mediterranean. And it's actually way worse if you look at the South Mediterranean, because it's 91%. Despite all the developments in solar and wind, it is still 91% fossil fuel based. If we continue the way we are, it will improve towards renewables, but it would still be 65%. So 2/3 of the energy mix by 2050 would still be fossil fuel based. If we go for the net zero, we could reduce the share to 25%. We are not saying to move fully away from fossil fuels. We recognize that fossil fuel, especially gas, will be a transition fuel, which means that we need to continue using it to help the fair and just transition. And so each country, of course, using whatever they have. Now, looking at what that means for renewables, as I said, so we saw energy efficiency, extremely important, needs to step up. In terms of renewables, everyone is increasing renewables, and so even in the reference scenario, we see an increase in renewables. However, you can see that the share of renewables in total would say more or less the same, even in the net zero, because most of the efforts, most of the programs that are being put in place will only start picking up in the second half of the 2030s. But in 2050, there would be a real difference. Huge increase in both scenarios, no problem. But what you can see is that the main increase will be from solar and wind technologies. And this is at the demand level. Now, if we look at Turkey specifically, so I included the slide for Turkey, so this is basically what I showed before. But in terms of demand, if we continue the way we're going, we would need to see Turkish energy demand increase by 83%. You would see still a big increase in renewables, but nothing compared with what it would be in net zero, and still a huge increase in fossil fuels. This means increased dependency, energy security issues. Now, when we look at what type of renewables we're looking at, obviously, again, solar and wind are taking the lead. In the bioenergy, biomass and waste includes the hydrogen, green hydrogen. So as you can see, if we go for a net zero, by 2050, in the energy demand, not generation, energy demand, nearly 60% will be renewable based. Now, looking at what this means by sector, in the little red dots, it's for Turkey numbers, but you can see they're more or less in line with the general. So the overall energy efficiency efforts have to be around 35% Mediterranean, even stronger in Turkey. The most affected sector, the one that will need to do most revolution, and we know it's the mobility sector, it's a transport sector. Now this number, it's already taking into account the fact, of course, that we are moving to electric vehicles, hydrogen, they are more efficient for sure, but it definitely means that we have to totally change the way we transport ourselves and the way we build cities. The good news is in south of Mediterranean, because we are adding population, we are increasing urbanization, we are building new cities, we can build them efficiently. It is less costly, it is easier, and the effects are immediate. So when you're thinking investing, think of this. This is something that is happening now because the transportation sector has a really big inertia, because of course when you buy a car for 15 years, so whatever policies you put in place, EU said 2035, no more thermal cars, but that means that the one that is bought in 2034 is still running in 2050. So this is something also to take in mind when you are doing policies and when you are thinking of the future. Now, obviously, nothing happens if there's no electrification of the end use. The whole net zero is based on electrification of the end usages. And you see, and I've put again Turkey's case, for the moment, electricity in the end usages only represent 22% of the energy demand and 7% renewables. In Turkey, it is the same, 22%, but only 5% renewables in the end usages. In the reference scenario, this would still increase, we agree. I mean, it has been increasing and it is increasing. But even renewables will only stay moderate, so a 7%, 30%. By 2050, in a net zero, we could see more than 56% from electricity and 18%, 22% in Turkey of renewable, which means if you think of electricity generation being renewable-based, that means that more than 2/3 of the electricity, the end-use mix would be based on renewables. And of course, in Turkey, as well as in several countries like France, Egypt, nuclear is entering the mix, so this participates in decarbonated energy and end use. Now, in terms of power generation, we have already mentioned, and power generation is already renewable-based. So this is something, it is already moving in the right direction. We already have more than 1/3 in the north, 21% in the south, and the programs are picking up to produce electricity, especially from wind and solar. But much more needs to be done to meet the net zero objective, that's for sure. And by the end, by 2050, we are seeing ratios of nearly 80%. The generation is 80% renewable-based. And this means that we absolutely need battery storage, electricity storage to be put in place and deployed at a high level. Because if we don't have at least 10%, the system cannot work. Now, in terms of increasing capacities, as I mentioned, solar and wind, this is a model that's demand-based. We are not taking into account the exports of hydrogen. If you include exports of hydrogen, you would have to nearly double the increase in solar and wind. So that means that the efforts already to reach these capacities, if you need to do on top of this hydrogen for export, you have to double this. Now, of course, one of the main drivers, and that should be for the region, and we are seeing it every day, the impacts of climate change, the geopolitical crisis lead to fossil fuels and reliance on fossil fuels is creating problems in the north, in the south. Exporting countries are suffering. The importing countries are suffering. If we continue to where we are in the south, the actual volume of fossil fuels that we need to import in the region, the net, will increase to 29% from 6%. So this is just unsustainable. If we're not, even if we don't consider climate, we cannot go this way. We have to go the other way. The other way is the only way that both shores of the Mediterranean can survive, especially for the security, but also for the climate. So the CO2 emissions, obviously net zero, we are dropping the CO2 emissions to nearly nothing. Again, the two main actors of this transition, renewable energy efficiency, cannot happen without the other technologies such as green gases, CCUS, electricity storage. I mean, everything has to be put in place for this to happen. Even if they are smaller components of the transition, the system does not work without it. Another thing that is important to notice, so here I've put the CO2 emissions of Turkey. You will see in green what we are looking to reach, and in red what's actually happening for the moment. So the magnitude is huge. One message though is if you look at the Mediterranean as a whole, if we do not move together, if the north goes ahead as they are doing and pledging to do with a net zero, but the south doesn't with the north, then all the emissions that are cut in the north nearly will be produced in the south anyway. So everything will have been done for nothing. There's no way to not do this together. I mean, this is one of the takeaways from these scenarios, is that everyone should be working in sync, because in a renewable-based system, based on electricity, to be able to absorb the variability of the system, you absolutely need to work together. Not just north-south, south-south, companies with state, and all the transmission system needs to be stepped up accordingly. Now, you probably heard of the global pledge that's been carried out by the EU, the IEA, and so on. We're in line with it. Turkey is a bit below, but the net zero carbon would enable the region to reach the global pledge. Now, moving forward, the investment, yes, it does cost money. It costs more money, of course, there's no question. 7 trillion in the net zero for only 4 trillion, basically, I'm just under in the reference. Bear in mind, this is only the numbers for the modeling of these scenarios. What is not taken into account is the inaction costs. We know, and we see it now every year, the fires, the floods is costing huge amounts of money that is not taken into account here. Either way, anyway, you have to pull out 4 trillion. So if you have to bring out 4 trillion and pay the costs for it and have a sustainable future, it is not that much of a difference to reach the 2050. But of course, the people paying for energy efficiency are not the people installing necessarily the power generation or the thermal plants. So there is a real question of how to make sure that the system works and the investments are timely. As I said, the inertia of the system means that investments need to be done now and might not be proving any results before a few years, if not decades. So this is the real question, is trying to spur a general momentum, and I think at COP here we're seeing it, so we're hoping this will spill out in the other areas. Just a bit more on the investments. So just to say, Turkey is about 15% of the investment as is the demand, so it stays rather in that bracket. But basically, everything will need to go to electricity, and despite renewables being the main contributor to reduction, energy efficiency is the more costly, but as I said, because it covers all the sectors of the economy and not just energy. Of course, in electricity investments, solar and wind, but transmission and distribution and storage are key components as well that need to be invested on. So with this, I conclude. I'll just repeat what I've said. Renewables, energy efficiency, electrification of the systems, investing in technologies, because we are talking about hydrogen, but for the moment the technology is not yet sure on how to do it, how to transport it, the cost and so on. Everything needs to be sped up if we want to reach those targets. I didn't mention much about nuclear, but nuclear in North and South will play a role in stabilizing the system. The fossil fuels, again, will be a transitional fuel. We cannot get rid of them tomorrow. It is not realistic. It would not be fair for the people in the South especially. Now, the cooperation, I think, and this is one of the other goals of my organization, is we try to foster cooperation, and we really believe that this is the solution for the region and for the future. With this, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lisa. Before you go down the stage, we have a very small certificate for the memory of the day. It's basically one of our projects which we started as MÜSİAD for the orphaned children in the earthquake area that took place in southeast of our country. So we have taken care of one orphan child on your behalf, and this is for the memory of the day. We are presenting you a certificate. Thank you very much. Okay, Altuğ. Thank you again, dear Lisa. It was very informative slides and speech by you. Thank you very much. And now I would like to shortly introduce our panelists who are here from all around the world for this panel. So we have Mr. Altuğ. He is the chairman of energy sector in MÜSİAD. As I've mentioned, we have 25 sectoral committees under our platform, and he's the media face of Turkey for renewable energy and sustainable energy in our country. He will be presenting MÜSİAD's Sustainable Energy Manifest to us shortly. Next to him, we have Mr. Serhat. He is a lawyer as a profession, and he is specializing in M&A markets and corporate financing, especially in sustainability. Also, he is doing a carbon offset financing in the global area. He will be talking to us about the legal side of these topics. We have Sezai right next to him. He is shifting his investments to sustainable investments and voluntary carbon markets, especially in the CRP energy. And he is now developing a carbon project globally in Turkey and in Africa. We have Mr. İsmail Hakkı, who is coming from the private sector, who has shareholder in 16 companies in 5 different industries. And he's a board member in MÜSİAD. And right now he's from Konya. He's joining from Konya, a city in Turkey, who established a series of investment companies with 220 businessmen to transform Konya city, which is 2.5 million people population, to carbon neutral before 2042. So we are very excited to hear from him. But before that, I would like to invite Mr. Altuğ to present to us his speech. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And energy is very important, I understand, because the pavilion is very hot. I need the energy every time. Firstly, dear guest, my name is Altuğ Karataş. I am board member of MÜSİAD, and Mr. Osman explained about the MÜSİAD. At the same time, I am president of the Green Economic Working Group in MÜSİAD. I'm working 23 years for this, especially energy efficiency. I will explain to you. Today, I would like to talk about MÜSİAD's climate manifesto and potential of energy efficiency in Turkish industry. I hope you get benefit from my presentation. Thank you very much again and in advance. Now, climate change manifesto in application of energy efficiency industry again. MÜSİAD supports the global climate change policy aimed at limiting the global average surface temperature to plus 1.5 centigrade degrees, provided that it's applied equitably to all nations. With a commitment to a sustainable future, MÜSİAD aims to lead transformation in key areas to prepare its 14,000 members and 60,000 companies for this challenging yet critical process, affirming to the belief that every living being has the right to a quality and fair life. MÜSİAD prioritizes the future of the world's climate change over the narrow interest of a select few countries. I want to I would like to talk about the 5 main topics, especially of MÜSİAD manifest. Change the, please, sorry, I'm looking for that, just a sec. Yes, this is the main topics I will explain to you. Firstly, we will synergize the efforts within the MÜSİAD ecosystem to develop and enhance the utilization of renewable energy, green hydrogen, new generation batteries, carbon capture is very popular now in COP28, and renewable gas technologies, working towards the achievement of the net zero emission target. And we have many companies, they are working for this, through circular economy, and this is very important, industrial symbiosis. We have many industrial businessmen in MÜSİAD, and we will support the use of waste as raw materials or energy and the transition to green production together with our members. In the other, we will conduct awareness-raising activities for industrialists on energy efficiency in my profession and conservation, and support the establishment of an energy efficiency database. The other topics, just a sec. Yes. We will support all kinds of effort the efficient use of Turkey's dwindling water resources. Water is very important now, including alternatives to irrigation in agriculture and circular water use in industry. And MÜSİAD has a good power, especially for agriculture side. And the other, I'm talking for the zero waste policy. We signed this zero waste on the wall, and we are support these topics especially. Smallest, I want to explain to my company, because now I will explain to you energy efficiency. My company is What Energy. We are working for the energy efficiency in Turkey, approved from the Energy Ministry. Our services, energy audits. You need energy audits. After that, you have to see energy efficiency potential, because the other side, consultancy, energy management system is very important, and now obligation in Turkey. We are working for this. We have a service, ISO 60001 consultancy. And the other side, energy efficiency project. I have been in many projects, especially in Turkey, waste heat recovery project, compressed air project, and now my company is measuring, calculating, and after that, we are installed a especially energy efficiency project in Turkey. Other sites, okay, you have a potential, I understand, but you have to measure it and monitoring, and after that, you have to manage it. Therefore, we have a special program, sorry, just a sec, Observer, Energy Monitoring and Management System. Because if you want to make an energy efficiency, you have to view, measure it, and after that, you have to manage it. Maybe if you have any question, we can talk about it after this presentation. And sustainability is very important. And you know, ISO standard and life cycle assessment, we have giving to these services. and the others international project. We have been many projects in Turkey and the other countries. Now we are working for the energy efficiency in public buildings. We are working with World Bank in Turkey. We are looking for the energy efficiency potential. We are using the energy performance contracting for this. Because there is no money, where is the money? Money in the energy efficiency. The other side, clean energy for buildings in Uzbekistan, JEBU project. The one team is working for in Uzbekistan. We are working with the energy ministry. We are consultancy in Uzbekistan. And the other green collar yacht workers project, European Union project in MÜSİAD and Watt Energy, colleague the Watt Energy. We are working for the especially the human resources for the clean energy side. And the other slides, after the conducting more than 1,300 energy audits, we have proposed a project that offer a total of 225,000 ton of oil energy petroleum in efficiency opportunity for facilities. With the VAP, what is the VAP? Energy efficiency project applications that were implemented or consulted 300 gigawatts hours for energy saving were achieved in Turkey. The totally all of them project up to 130 million euros now. Only I'm talking for our company side. We identified a potential for saving 780,000 tons of carbon dioxide equivalent toward actual energy saving measured in Turkey especially. Last of the presentation, sectoral energy efficiency potential. Turkey has a good, huge industry side, big potential. For example, food industry, energy saving potential is beginning the 13% up to 27%. I'm talking smallest side because Ms. Guerrera explained the potential 35% maybe in Turkey. I'm looking for the smallest side now. And textile industry is very important for Turkey. We are little textile country. The minimum potential is 14% and maximum 26%. But in my opinion, more. And our government side is working for this. We have many rules. We are produced the energy efficiency project, especially for the textile side. The potential is very big. Paper industry, energy density is very high. It's the beginning 21% up to 22%. And plastic sectors, for example, 30%. Glass and cement sector industry, 40%. We are many teams now working for the Şişecam factories. We are making energy audits now. For example, the potential is 40%. It's very, very high. And timber and wood industry, ceramic industry, the potential, especially heating system, compressed air system, cooling system, electrical lighting, air conditioner, pump, process optimization, I want to explain to you. In Turkey, last energy cost last year, $96 billion. The huge energy invoice, I know, but the many years, minimum $60 billion, maximum $100 billion. What is the potential? 25%. If Turkey take this energy efficiency potential, every year we can earn 20 billion savings. Is it possible? 8 billions from industry side. Sorry, I will show to you. 8 billions industry side in my calculation. 7 billions building sites, and now working energy performance contracting. I'm telling again. Now a COP28 project. And transport and agriculture and others, 5 billions and others. The potential is very high. Now talking today, yesterday, you know, Global Renewable and Energy Efficiency Pledge announced the initiative to accelerate global decarbonization. I know there is no sign in Turkey now, it's talking, but we, not 3 times, maybe 4 times extra renewable energy in Turkey, and same situation for energy efficiency, triple times is potential there is in Turkey. I hope after this COP28, we will go for this target. Thank you for listening to my presentation and attendance and listening to you. Let's work together for a better and greener world. Thank you for the listening for the presentation. Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Altuğ. I also hope that very soon we achieve the targets that have been set in the past 5 days at COP28. And as Turkey, we have very strong human resource. Our renewable energy industry is so efficient. So I hope we will use this to the max. Before that, we move to our next panelist, Mr. Serhat, which I would like to add another title here for you. He's the chairman of MÜSİAD Invest, which is one of the most prestigious corporate club in Turkey. If you can very shortly tell us about this club before the main speech, and then after that we would like to hear from you the finance section of this topic. As we know, you have been negotiating good projects in this industry. So if you can brief us about these two, we would be more than happy. Thank you very much.
Yes, I hope everyone hear me. Thank you, Mr. Osman, for your kind invitation. And as Mr. Osman said that, I have a president of the MÜSİAD Invest. Maybe I would like to give a little bit information about what the MÜSİAD Invest does. And as his request, I would like to explain a little bit about the investment side of the sustainability that we witnessed during our visiting COP28. So, first of all, like it's already been introduced, like MÜSİAD Invest, which is the capital behavior of the MÜSİAD, which is like 60,000 companies bringing in one roof. That means it's equal to 27% of the Turkish economy. And what we are doing in the MÜSİAD Invest, we are bringing the foreign investors, especially in the sustainable sectors and energy sectors, to the Turkey territory. And also, we are not bringing them, we are helping their investment procedures during the Turkey. So, we have independent NGO. So our aims really extend our investment capacity in Turkey. We are not only working in the Turkey territory. We are also catching our Turkish companies to the third countries with the another financial methods. So this is the little bit brief of the MÜSİAD Invest does, and I would like to more speak about sustainable finance. With your questions, your questions, we came here at the 1st of the December, and we were making a great diplomacy with the investment agency, with the banks, and with the development associations. So what we see there and what we witnesses before before COPs, this financing and the investment is really critical part about the sustainable goals during what we are now negotiation. Every day in here, there were too many announcements that for the gathering the money, gathering the investment, supplying the projects and project announcements. And in Turkey, we are playing to critical role to gathering to this sustainability with our investors. So, during our COP season, we witnessed we were with Mr. Highness El Zayan and the Nigeria President and Japan president, and we like had a chance together with them, their investment agencies, to like collaborating, especially in the energy sectors in Turkey. And we have like witnesses that like great atmosphere. I hope we will see in soon what's the conclusion on future. For the understanding sustainable finance, I would like to mention like actually three main points. The one of them, like the EU taxonomy. The second one, involving the landscape of ESG, which is really critical. And for the sustainable like finance, in our discussion on the sustainable finance, we are looking at the concept that transition traditional profitability metrics. What it means? It's a holistic approach to integrate the economic, environmental, social, and governance aspect. The need for the sustainable finance is underscored by the investment requirements in countries like Turkey. Even there is a, like one discussion is like still growing country or already growth country, but to meet in the sustainable development goals, an usual investment around 2.5 to 3 billion US dollar is needed. So it's a like it's the first part of the like needed. For the tax side, you know, the Turkey, like the EU taxonomy, is adopted in 2020. We see the innovative approach to classifying economic activities, which is really critical. This taxonomy defines activities as green based on 6 environmental objective settings and new standard in sustainable finance. In Turkey, the Constitutional Court's recognition of the UAE taxonomy underscores its really significance. The taxonomy is more than a classification system. It's a tool that aids in achieving climate and environmental goals. So, what we are trying to do, Turkey, we are trying to challenge to all the like bodies, all the corporate bodies, all the private sector bodies to tell how critical and how react and how we will face in the future, and we should be ready from the now for the like the economic diplomacy with the government to government, with the private sector to private sector. It's really critical to understand this. And for the ESG finance, ESG is like criteria are becoming the backbone of the strategic investment decisions, offering a comprehensive framework for risk management and long-term profitability. As in the beginning of my speech, I mentioned that as MÜSİAD Invest, like we are focusing on the sustainable investment. And what does that mean? Is not only like renewable energy side, is also like those investment, those potential target companies should carry on the ESG criteria. For that, we have to understand what are the ESG criteria and how we can adopt to getting finance or investment from that. And it's about like being productive in managing climate-related risk and adapting to evolving business landscape. This is the, I think, like three main ideas for the finance side of the sustainability. So I know that it's going to be like evening, so I do not want to take your time so much, but this is the critical point, and this is what we are trying and what we are focusing the Turkey territory. As a like brief of like for my private sector, I'm like qualified in the like I'm lawyer in my qualification in the M&A market, but we have a law firm in Turkey and we have a firm in UK for giving corporate finance and M&A advisory, especially with the sustainable side. We are bringing $442 million in 2022 for the 7 separate sustainable projects in Turkey Bazaar. So, like these numbers is growing, but for the understanding what we have witnessed here in like as my the knowledge on the private sector, if we adopt ourselves from the beginning, then we can we can easier to get to these financial resource and the investment source. So it's like really critical for our like potential target companies in Turkey. And like this is the I think all the main things that I would like to mention today. It was a pleasure to understand, to tell those arguments and sharing with you. Thank you so much coming for today. And this is the my best for you with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Serhat. Of course, the sustainable financing is very important to achieve these targets that we have been talking about. Now we have Mr. Ismail Hakkı here, who's an industrial engineer and as a shareholder in several companies in the energy industry, as on net zero in Konya City. Maybe you can about the achieving the methodologies on achieving these net zero sustainability in the cities, and if there is any problems that we might face, please do present to us. Thank you.
Thank you, President. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our session in this period of time. I'd like to expressly inform you about our project, how to transform such kind of modeling the cities to carbon neutral one. You know, the Turkish president opened a target as before 15.3, we would like to become carbon neutral country. But we have to create a methodology not just for Turkey, also for the world, how we confirm and how we transform the cities to carbon neutral one at the adapted or wished period of time. So because of that, if we would like to make some sustainable steps, we have to create also some traceable, profitable, and sustainable models. So when we just came here to do United Arab Emirates, we saw in everywhere action builds belief. So which we are not just in the belief part right now, we have to take action. So as just one city model, we took the action. I would like to explain you what kind of actions we are trying to take. So the logos you can see the downstairs is these are just some companies we just established with over 220 businessmen to transform the city to carbon neutral one. Konya is one of the biggest landed city of Turkey with the surface area with more than 2.5 million population. So this is a very important city because of the most of the agricultural activities of Turkey is coming from this city. So we have a lot of problems, especially coming from the lack of water. We cannot make the watering in the city anymore because I'm also a farmer at the same time. I have farms. So when we dig the water and to take it out, it was just 120 meters 5 years ago. And right now our water is just coming down more than 400 meters. So even just starting from this point, this city is also a very important city about this transformation. Also, this is one of the 4 cities of Turkey, pilot cities, to confirm and to transform the carbon neutral one before the country. So our expectation is to convert our city before 2042. And as we know from the IEA reports, the total budget to convert all over the world to carbon neutral, we have to make more than $120 trillion investment in total before 2050. So when we calculated it for our city, for 2.5 million population city, we should invest more than $40 billion to the city, not just with the local people, also some international investors. So with these 220 people, businessmen, we would like to create a solution and sustainable solution in this manner. So the main idea is starting from the development phase. This is the first company, Carbon Certification and Project Development Corporation, and the other one, the last company, to create a carbon neutral town in the city. So we mainly focused on the 4 areas which is more than 95% of emissions coming from. First is the transportation, second is the energy of the city, third is the industry, and the fourth is the buildings. So we have to make a transformation all these four main areas. I will show you how we are developing the projects right now. This is the first company. This is a totally 5 companies, and we have also another 6 companies. This is for financing all these 5 projects. Basically, we are starting from the development phase with the first company. So when this company develops the project for these next 4 areas, the last company also trying to finance all these projects with this company. So this is what I'm talking about. So the 42, also the traffic plate number of the city. Thanks God, our plate number is not 25 and 42. That's sweet. We can increase our target to this number. So we just started like this one. This company, as I told you, this is a project development company. So it's developing the projects. Also, we are developing our people. We are making our new generations. We are bringing the engineers to our company. So we try to make them the climate experts, financial experts, industry experts to transforming this. The first company we are doing for the transportation in the city. So we are developing also Konya is maybe have the longest bicycle ways in the world with more than 750 kilometers of bicycle ways in the city. So this is also very familiar with the mobility solutions in the city. So we got a license from the government to install the electrical vehicles charging stations, and we all installed our charging stations right now, more than 55 charging stations just in the city to increase the electric mobility in the city. So these are our brand also, Spark is our brand. So with this also brand, as a part of our climate strategy in Turkey for the transportation of the cities, we are trying to make all the pedestrian places in the historical parts of cities. So when you put the historical parts in the cities, you cannot put any diesel or other standard engine cars. So we are making a car sharing program with the electric cars in the city. So we put the electric cars, you can, with our Spark application, you can rent the car and you can go anywhere in the city with zero emission, 100%, then you can deliver your car to whatever you want in the city. So this is the second company. We developed a carbon neutral industrial zone right now. So this industrial zone is a model to the city with the biggest contractors in the city. We come together with the architects, the other engineers, and some investors. So we build up such kind of project in a 1 million square meter area. With this project, we established 200 factories, small and medium-sized factories. But we put some critical points to the factory. As you may see from that side, none of these factories have warehouses inside of it. Because we just wanted to make, if you put the warehouses in your factories, you cannot have any factory here. You have to come to our central logistics center, so you have to put all your raw materials, your finished products, whatever you want, and a professional logistics company will manage all your warehouses. So that will also cut down the emissions. Also, it will make sure, because of this is my job as an industrial engineer, and you will also increase efficiency in your all processes. We put all the solar panels to our rooftops in the companies. For each company, we put between 1 megawatt to 3 megawatt installed power to its own rooftop. Also, at the same time, we put another 50 megawatt solar power plant instead of, because some of the companies need more electricity than they have from their rooftop. So we put also generation electricity from these main power plants, solar power plant. You can see the yellow lines in between the factories. We don't ever let any diesel or another engine cars or mobility solutions in this site. Even if you want to take any goods or finished or raw materials from your factory to the logistics centers, you cannot put any trucks or something inside. So we have some smart robots inside, up to 5 and 6 tons of goods. It can automatically run and automatically carry in the organized industry. So with these yellow lines, these robots taking away all these kind of materials between the logistics centers and the factories. We also put for the people inside of these area, we put some charging stations, we put the car sharing program, we put the electric cars. Even you are a boss or an investor in this place, you cannot take your diesel car inside of this place. Also, we put some other things. For instance, if you invest this kind of place, all your products, 7 days, 24 hours, and full year, it's under assessment of the central carbon emission monitoring system. So all your operations should be monitored by this main system, and this main system will be reporting. What we wish, any product will be produced in this area will directly exported to the European Union with a green pass. Because of all the system is monitored by our sensors, by our experts with the companies' places. So this is the project we developed for the industry zone. This is just start. Also, this will be a model for all over the country how we convert our industry to green industries. Another sample project we developed and we just started right now. So we are building also a carbon neutral town in the city with 800 and 850 flats. So all these flats and all these houses are cooled and heated by heat pumps. And this heat pump is generated electricity from the solar panels on roofs, and also all the mobility solutions in the houses and in the places made by the electricity. So this should be also something sustainable. So we have also such a project. I don't have time because I cannot give much more than this. So when we make all these process together with the government bodies, together with the universities, and together with the private industry, and we come together at the end of the year, so we make a workshop. In this workshop, you see we have 8 tables. The first one for the energy, the transportation, the industry, the buildings, the agriculture, all the experts coming from the city and from the other places. So we discuss, for instance, in the energy, what's the right now position of the city, what should be done as a target, and how we will go to this target. So we are trying to build up a mathematical model. So at the end of every year, we have to see what's our progress in the city because of these developments. So before 2042, with these workshops, we have to get the results mathematically, how long we will need to take, how much investment we need, or how much progress we can get. So in every table of this workshop, there are 10 people, one from the private industry, one from the NGOs, one from the government, one from the university, one from the university students, and one from the high school students also. So we would like to put all the bodies in the city in these tables. So we would like to say, okay, all together we try to transform this process. So this is the end. Also, while we are doing all these kind of things, we need to get a finance. So locally, we cannot finance these $40 billion projects. So we need to get some investments also. So we created a blockchain-based climate change platform, climate change investment platform. When you come to this investment platform, you will see 3 main things. It should be sustainable, the project. It should be traceable, which means a woman from Japan can invest some projects in our city, but she should assess and monitor all the things coming from her investment, and it should be also profitable. Sustainable, profitable, and traceable climate change projects we are putting to our platform. Anybody can come there, assess the platform, to see the results, to see what kind of investment portfolio is available. They can directly join to our portfolio, so they can also help us to transform the city. This is briefly introduce our project. Thanks for your passion.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ismail. And now we have our last speaker in the panel, Mr. Sezai. He is a member of Green Deal Commission in MÜSİAD, and he will be presenting about the green certificates to us. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I am Sezai Uzun, manager at CRP Energy and also Green Deal Commission member at MÜSİAD. Today I will explain the concept of carbon credits and green certificates within the scope of Turkey. Since I am the last one before a coffee break, I will try to sum it up quickly. So the basic sustainable markets and policy models divided into 4 categories. Firstly, the regulatory market referred as emission trading system, and second is carbon taxonomy, and third is voluntary carbon markets and carbon credits. Lastly, green renewable energy certificates. Emission trading systems are regulated by government institutions and works with the cap and trade system. Cap and trade system is basically a limit to total emissions of an organization. So if we think an organization is above the limit, the organization should get emission permit, and if it is under, then the organization should can sell its allowances. So currently there are 28 active emission trading systems implementation, 8 in development process, and 12 countries are in planning to establish emission trading scheme. And the revenue from these emission trading schemes are $63 billion. So, and also there is approximately 23% of total global greenhouse gas emissions are covered by these initiatives. These initiatives are emission trading systems and carbon taxes. By those initiatives, $100 billion revenue has earned. Turkey is also one of these emission trading scheme developing countries. A draft climate law has announced, and I think in the near future we will be operating our emission trading system. EU ETS is one of the most structured and big schemes globally, and it is important since it is the largest export partner for Turkey. Turkey has announced that the emission trading scheme will be integrated into European Union scheme. So, and the current price of this scheme is 90 euros currently. For the past 28 years, voluntary carbon market has exponentially growing. 143 carbon was issued in only first half of 2023, which is the amount of whole 2022. So renewable, household and nature-based solution, as seen in the visual, is the most common project type and issued certificate type in global. Turkey has also, when we come to Turkey voluntary carbon market is, we have 839 projects listed and registered, both in the most common 5 carbon standards. 73 million tons of emission reductions are estimated from those projects, and these projects are mostly renewable energies. Renewable energy certificates like IREX and government-based YEKG is the most common certificate types in Turkey. And there is also other standards in the visual that used in Turkey. IREC is increasing each year with 223 million volume is issued this year, which is pretty high, which is equal to 40% of the total IREC issuances since 2014. As it can be seen in the third figure, 208 gigawatt capacity of issuances made by almost 5,000 facilities this year. Total capacity of IREC registered facilities in Turkey was 7 gigawatts in 2022, and 16 million certificates are issued in the same year in Turkey. When we think about the government incentives for renewable energies and the growing capacity of renewable energy industry, I think the IREC issuances will be increasing in the future. To sum up, Turkey has one of the large volume in voluntary carbon markets and RECs, and with the upcoming law and ETS, I hope we will accomplish our responsibility for the sustainable future. And thank you for listening, and I hope you have a pleasant event.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sezai, and thank you very much for listening to us. I would like to give one promise here as MÜSİAD, Turkey's largest industrialist and business people organization. With all our sectors and business people, companies, we will be working to become a leader country moving forward in a green Turkey. So I hope that we will achieve our targets. We have made very good connections here at COP28. We have listened to very important speakers at COP28. Thank you very much for listening to us here. And I would like to especially thank our ambassador of United Arab Emirates in Ankara and our Turkish ambassadors in Abu Dhabi for listening to us. Maybe we can have a family photo together with you before we leave. Thank you very much.